There we are, spinning. Hello world, welcome back to Accelerate and welcome to Rocky's BMW M140i pushing 500 brake horsepower. And today we are going to take this for a POV drive.
Jump in my whip, baby, let's ride. We ain't gonna stop at a red light. Take shots like a
The standard 140i comes with around 335 brake horsepower from the factory, but as I stated, this is dyno proven 490 odd brake horsepower, and that is done through some, what I would consider some quite simple mods. All Rocky has done is a high pressure fuel pump, the silicone intake elbow mod, which is quite popular among the 140i's because there's a big baffle in there. It does restrict flow and noise, gives some nice turbo spool. He's got a sports cat and a remap. That is it to get one of these things up to the mind-boggling 500 brake horsepower. It is fed through the rear wheels, and on the 140s, as standard, as is with this one, it is running an open diff, meaning it will only spin up one wheel. Now, the 1 Series in general, the design was quite controversial when it came out because it was BMW's first hatchback. It's never been my favourite model, I will be honest, but what they've done to modernise it as the revisions go on, it certainly does look a lot more aggressive than the original. We've got the LED lights from BMW, which is a statement of any modern BMW with the angel eyes. The kidney grills, as most of you probably know, they are growing at an alarming rate, but fortunately on this generation, they are still very tolerable and do not look out of place. The M135 and the M140s do come with a different bumper design, much more aggressive intake vents there, and this as an optional aftermarket Rocky's put on the lip kit all the way around, which I think you'll agree gives it a much better stance. This is factory ride height at the moment, but with that, the front lip, the side skirts, and even onto the rear, it does give a much better stance. The 18-inch 5-spoke split wheels, typical M, and I love the M badge just there. They do have the M Performance brakes, and what Rocky's actually got on this one are the J-hook brakes, which are fantastic at dispersing heat. They've had a bit of design fun because we've got some beautiful contours coming down the body, drawing us to the rear wheels. Now, they do actually run a typical BMW setup, which is a staggered setup, meaning they're simply the rear wheels are wider than the front for stability, particularly at speed. The rear end, this is where all the controversy starts. These more modern smoked rear lights are so much more attractive, and with the M140i, you do get the much more aggressive diffuser as well, with the dual tips, and this thing does make a racket, so I can tell you that is not a full stock exhaust. These were marketed, obviously it's a hatchback, a very hot hatchback, and it would help if I unlocked it. So being a hatchback, these were aimed at the family person. They are very practical, as any hatchback is. 360 litres, I believe, of capacity of boot space. So for the family, if you're trying to convince the other half, that is a very good selling point. Moving on to the rear, we can jump into the back, as you'd expect with any hatchback. This is their entry level, their smallest one that they offer. I'm 5'10"-ish. Now, I've got that seat as any sort of normal seating position, I would say. I've got a little bit of knee room. You do get the indents there, which do help. The piano black interior is continued onto the rear, obviously the black leather. Although some say it's bland for BMW, you do have the quality everywhere, and let's face it, bland works. Electric windows in the back, obviously. With the privacy glass on this, you've got your 12-volt socket just there, and the air vents in the back. But let's get to the fun part. Actually, before we jump into the front, let's have a look under the engine, because that is what makes these things very different from your typical... It's got to be one of the most diverse range of models you can get, the 1 Series. You start off with the 114i, I believe, which is a 4-cylinder, and then you've got this, the range-topping 140i. This is the 3-litre straight-6 turbo engine. It is the B58, and yes, that is the one they used in the Supra. Now, the more that these performance companies, these tuning companies are getting hold of this, they're playing around with them, they're realising the potential with these things. I've heard rumours that you can get from the standard 335 brake horsepower all the way up to 430-ish just from a remap. And that shows just how much they hold these things back. The intake mod I was talking about is simply that silicone elbow there. It does create some amazing turbo sounds, and apparently is really good for the airflow as well. We can take a look inside. It is very typical BMW in here, and I mean that as a compliment. One of my favourite things we've always said about BMW is... Oops, I've left the bonnet open, ignore that for now. Is these big chunky steering wheels. Any modern BMW, they know how to make a good feeling steering wheel. And you have got the M tricolour stitching just there, which I love. Perforated leather on your grabbing points. And the beautiful smooth leather at the top and the bottom. It's typical electric windows just there. And like I said, this is optioned with a piano black trim, which is a nightmare to keep clean. But when it is clean, it's beautiful. This is one of my favourite parts of this car. This has the 8-speed ZF gearbox, which I do believe is the torque converter as opposed to a dual clutch, which me personally, I prefer because I find it to be smoother than a dual clutch. And although you may lose a millisecond or two through gear changes, at no point at all when driving this car have I thought, oh, this car needs to be, the gear changes need to be quicker. Another thing I like, look at that, guys. That is a mechanical handbrake. Why we're in a place in the world now where we need electric handbrakes is beyond me. Let's turn the ignition on. That fires right up. Now, I've always said I'm into old cars, in case you hadn't guessed. I love analog dials, and this is a beautiful example of bringing digital and analog together. Fantastic display, just very simple, very easy to read, which brings me on to the infotainment screen just here. Again, I'm old school. Most of my cars have got fan settings 1, 2 and 3, and that's about it as far as technology goes. But this is very intuitive. You've got the a roll dial just there, and then just a click button to go back to what you want, and then you simply click left to go back and forth. It has got satellite navigation, obviously, as you would expect, dual zone climate control. And is it just me? Most modern cars with screens like that, I think that is a very, very nice sized screen. I think it's about time we took it out on the road, because that is what these cars are all about. Now, as soon as you pull away in this thing, you know instantly that you're in a modern BMW. It feels like a modern BMW, it sounds like a modern BMW. And we're starting off in comfort mode in auto, because a lot of people that buy these things, for example, Rocky, the owner, he actually dailies this thing. This is his only vehicle. And that's the beauty of these things. It is a BMW when you need it to be. As I said, comfort mode now, you can barely hear that what can be an antisocial exhaust. Very peculiar choice on colours there, that's quite funky. So the response in comfort, obviously as you'd expect, is a bit delayed because it is about the comfort. But the gear changes are seamless, and comfort is a good name because I am very much sat in comfort. Paddle shifts just behind the steering wheel there with a very satisfying click. You can obviously be in the ZF box, shift it from there as well. Now this, as I said, this is one of the best features of the car. I think they're better than a dual clutch personally, because the little sacrifice you make on losing a millisecond or two on gear changes, you gain in the smoothness while driving in traffic. This is one of those cars, again, I almost didn't want to like, because I'm not a 1 Series fan per se. But I must say, I understand the hype, I really do. What I'm going to do now, you've seen me drive on these lovely roads now, normal. It is what you'd expect from a BMW. Considering it's a 140i, the M140i, this sports, the NVH, noise, vibration, harshness, is minimal. And what I mean by that is there's not much road noise, tyre noise. I feel cocooned in this. The armrest, every comfort they've thought of, every touch point. But what I'm going to do is, we've done a full review on this car. I don't know which video is going to go first. But what I want to do is put in some clips there, because the roads we drove up there were phenomenal. And you'll get to see my genuine reaction booked in this car for the first time. We are in Sport Plus, we are on our great road, so let's see what she can do. I want you guys to see this, because Sport Plus is no traction. I later learned the Sport Plus doesn't actually turn traction control off completely, it simply limits it. And it's basically you on your own. Holy crap, this thing moves. And here's the pops. Okay, so I was expecting this to feel very heavy, because the steering does get heavier. I was expecting it to not give me that much confidence. Even in that first blip there, that's the first time I've fully put my foot down in this thing and unleashed it in Sport Plus. But we're going to get to some corners. This is a bit, I'm a little bit nervous about, because this car does scare me a little bit, I'm not going to lie. Because the factory 140s come with an open diff. There we are, spinning. Okay, Rocky did tell me, although it spins, it is fun. Holy crap. Yeah, even with traction off, you do, oh my god, you've got to be very aware that that inside wheel is going to spin. Christ, the grunt on this thing. Bit twitchy there, wow. And good job we got these M Performance brakes. Oh my word. Yeah, this thing is an absolute brute. Rocky warned me not to use Sport Plus unless I was confident. I was feeling I had my big boy pants on today, so... Jesus, this thing's a... Jesus! I can understand why youngsters get hold of these, run really high power through them and get themselves into trouble. We're very fortunate, we've driven many high powered cars rear wheel drive. It's not as twitchy as I thought. I have heard rumours that the LSD actually makes them a bit scarier to drive because you get both wheels spinning. Then you got to be very aware and you need to know what you're doing. But with the LSD, it's a lot more forgiving. It can still catch you out, don't get me wrong. But that was fun. Maybe not the fastest because you are spinning the wheels a lot of the time. But it gets your adrenaline pumping. And I want to state that Rocky basically said we can't do this unless we rag it because you've got to get the most out of these things. So I am forever grateful for that. And he is right. I'm so glad that we... Nope, careful of the sheep there. Yes, we are in Wales, folks, as you, in case you didn't know. So I'll try and be a bit quiet going past. Look at that view. That back end loves to play. Yep, stepping out. Now, one way that described a good friend of mine, his dad actually races cars. He had one of these as a daily. And he said, it does feel like the back end was designed by a different person than the front. I kind of see what he's saying. But as a fun car, I mean, Rocky, why are the hazards going on? Rocky uses this as a daily. This is his only vehicle. And as an all-rounder, I mean, as I said, you can drive these things very, very gingerly. And they're so nice to drive. It's a BMW. And then when you put it into Sport Plus or Sport, it comes alive and... it gives you a heck of a rush. That was my experience of the 140i, not just any 140i. As I said, I do believe they call this the Stage 2 Plus, which I hate referring to, but the Beamer boys will know. Yeah, this car genuinely surprised me. And as I said, on the full feature, Kenny had a good go as well, and it really surprised the both of us. The performance on these things out of the box is staggering, but how simple it is to get even more power is crazy. And what surprised us was just how fun the whole package was. So as I said, I don't know which one's going to go first, but stay tuned to see the full feature. But for now, thank you so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Woo!